So, welcome to the Good Fight. Again, my name is Warwick. Okay, here with my Pastor Michael. Today's lesson 3, of the Good Fight martial arts lessons. We've already covered our structure, our basic footwork, our rhythm, and understanding basic distance and basic technique off of the jab. If you don't know any of that, you're going to want to go back and look at the videos again. Today, what we're going to cover is going to be the right cross, okay, from the rear side. But we're also going to look at the jab once again, but we're going to be adding distancing and footwork with it. Okay, so we're adding extra layers of complexity just to help to calibrate you into a better fighter. I'm going to be doing it from a lot of southpaw until I'm doing my right hand. I might be orthodox, but I won't be doing it as I should. I did dislocate my elbow on Saturday, and fortunately it relocated back into position. But point being is that the show must go on, and just because you got a little bobo, it doesn't mean that you stop living life, right? Life keeps going on. So with that being said, we're going to jump right into our ranging drill, okay? ranging drills that we've already approached, and we're doing it a second time. Now we're going to go into footwork and applying the jab like we were doing the last time. So last time we did the jab, we already understand the mechanics are in essence. Okay, push off the back leg, keep your head level, rotate around your spine. Okay, so hips and shoulders rotate around the spine. Okay, arm comes straight out, carves on contact. There's a lot of different angles to a jab at the end of the day, but most of them start the same way. With your partner, what you'll do this time, right, when we do the southpaw, is that he's gonna have his hand like this, down, okay? Anytime he brings it up, he flashes and he's gonna wanna hit it with the jab, okay? So he's gonna have the opposite one up. He's gonna open it, it means I fire the jab, boom. He's gonna move around, he's gonna put it down, he's gonna step any direction, any angle, go ahead. Boom, he's gonna flash it. Boom, I'm gonna hit. My goal when I'm doing this, if he extends his left arm out, go ahead please, and I do this, okay, is that we're in that distance that we've already calibrated. So if he moves in, okay, pull your arm back, okay, if he moves in and he flashes it, I'm too close. I mean, I'm close to his jaw, but I'm too close to the target for now. So I want to actually step back, okay, so that if he extends his left arm, boom, I'm right in that distance. He brings that out, flashes it, boom. This is called critical distance control. It means that I'm maintaining the position that I precisely want as accurately as possible. That's what we're training here, and that makes a difference in a fight. So here's the drill, okay? He moves any direction, he flashes the hand or the pad, I hit. He moves any direction, he flashes it, I hit. At any point in time, he's gonna extend that left arm, go ahead, and I'm just gonna extend mine so I get my reference point back, okay? So it looks like this, he moves around, boom, I stay in front of him, I hit, he moves around, maybe he checks the distance, he extends, oh, perfect, he punches it, boom, I fire the jab, okay? So we're gonna be working our jab with distance control. going to start learning about our right hand. Well, we want to start again in that structure that we've already spoken about. If you don't know how to do it, just go back to lesson number 1. You start with your hands up, okay? Please forgive me. My left arm, when I bring it up, it's a little difficult at the moment, so I might not be as clean as I would wish it to be. Now, I'm out here, all right? That hand is on the outside. The right cross, okay, it starts in the foot. I'm going to jack my hip into the ground, and as I'm pushing, I'm turning the foot, the knee, the hip, okay, in line with my target. So I'm pretty much square at this point. The shoulder, okay, starts to drop as I pull that left shoulder back, okay, is here. Elbow stays in line for now, and the hand comes out straight like a piston. And here, I'm going to carve those 3 knuckles on target. Opposing hand is protecting my face. Elbow is on the body when I'm firing the cross, okay, and shoulders are long here. Chin is tucked. I'm going to pull the tool back entirety in a straight line, and put that heel back in position, put my hip back in position, okay? So here's the right hand, boom, I drive it out straight, okay? Here it is again, boom. And one more time, boom, okay? From this angle, 3 times, 1, okay, very slow, 2, 3. So that's your right cross. With your partner for the drill, you're just going to do it stationary at first, because what we want to do is learn mechanics before we implement everything else. Here, okay, I'm going to take my right hand once, I'm going to extend it onto the target, okay? Once it's on the target, I want to make sure that there's at least half of my fist length to a fist length that can go through the target, right? So for me, that would be right around here, is right at the edge of my shoulder, okay? So I'm going to reset, okay? Partner's going to flash it. When he flashes it, okay, I fire. If you're bare hand, try not to crank your partner's hand too hard. Just touch it, just kiss it, and pull back. If he's got a pad, you can put power on it. Okay, so here it is. Boom, there's your right hand. Bring it back. Notice how my heel pivots. Okay, everything's lying towards the target. When I make contact, I exhale to contract. Here it is. I pull back 4 times from here. My left hand, okay, the opposing tool, I put the buckler, okay, on. I make sure that the armor is stacked. Here it is, click, boom, as the spear comes out. All right, so you're gonna do a 3-minute drill, stationary, right cross. stand in front of your partner. Good. He will extend his left arm just for range. Yeah, I'm gonna float my left arm like this, okay? And I'm gonna get my wrist to his elbow for now, just to know. I'm gonna bring my hand back, okay? And then he's gonna show the hand. When he shows the hand, I'm gonna fire across, I'm gonna pull it back. And now he's gonna select, he's gonna move anywhere he wants. Go ahead, boom, good. He can make me gauge my distance again if he feels that I'm outside of that bubble, okay? Or he can trigger my right hand, boom. So it's understanding responsibilities, roles and responsibilities, right? For me, I need to think a little less than I normally would. And focus on technique and structure, execution, knowing my distance, right? So applying the drill mechanics. But when you're the spotter, okay, your mindset needs to be looking for recognizing if the technique is flawed, meaning like, is he dropping a hand? Is he telegraphing? Is he showing signs he's going to throw it beforehand? And realistically, he'll know it and see it better than your opponent will because he's just staring at you the whole time. So of course he's going to find out things that he kind of likes about you or doesn't. Okay? So here, his responsibility is if he feels you're outside of distance, for example, he moves around, okay, he sees that I'm too far, he just extends it. Oh, perfect. Boom. Readjust, create that bubble, flashes the cross, boom, flashes it, comes back. If he sees there's something with your technique, let's say I do this, okay, so he flashes the cross, and then my right hand does this before I shoot, okay, or my left hand does this. Every time. Okay? Now in a street fight, that's fine. In a ring fight, that's not fine, okay, because you're going to give it away unless you're trying to set it up as a trap. Okay? So you want limited amount of motion. Everything needs to come out of the pocket. So if I'm out here, right, he flashes it, boom, it comes straight out of the pocket without any sign of it coming out, all right? So that's a little bit of the roles and responsibilities. We'll get more into that, but for now we're going to do the drill. I'm going to hit first, and then he's going to hit second. So that's the end of lesson 3. In hindsight, okay, things will build up over time and consistency. That's the main point. When you train, the number one factor for your development is going to be your perseverance and your ability to show up, your discipline to show up. A lot of people don't have it. That's fine. It's the choices they want to make in their life. But if you want anything, okay, when it comes to this, you want to build some sort of self-defense for yourself, you need to show up consistently. You need to show up for every training session that you can. At best, you show up every day and you make it a habit. That's the number one thing in order for you to progress in your training at the end of the day. Not everybody can do it. So the main thing for people when they can't find out or they don't understand why am I not able to be motivated, the reality is you got to sit with yourself and you actually got to understand your motives and whatnot, and you got to feel the fire from within, because you can't do it from without. The main issue I would say with most people is that they're too outsourced. It means that they're not independent enough to where they're looking outside of themselves. They're looking for validation from others. They're caring about what other people are saying, caring about where the crowd is going or what everybody else is doing. You lose sight of where you need to go and what your heart's actually telling you to do. You see, God always tells you what you need to do next. Just listen to your heart and actually do it. That's the main core of it at the end of the day. If you listen to everybody else and you go with the horde, all you're going to find out is when you look left and you're following the horde, you're going to realize that all these people are actually following each other and they don't know where they're going. They got a false shepherd. You're going the wrong way. Okay? Listen to God. Listen to your heart. How do you do that? Listen to this guy. Okay? So my point being is that you go into meditation. You got to spend some time by yourself and actually get intuitive. You got to separate yourself from people. Okay? Everybody is born with gifts, and you have them. And the main thing that you need to do is actually listen to yourself. First, you got to create distance and go into mindfulness meditation and sit with your true intuitive self deep down. It means that you got to get rid of the noise that everybody else is talking, the anxieties, the worries, whatever it is, all the negativity, shut that out. You get quiet with yourself, you completely recalibrate, and you'll start actually living a life that's worth living for yourself. So we'll see you on lesson 4.